Michelle Torrio, and this is the Be Mindful podcast. Hi there, and welcome back to the Be Mindful podcast. If you are new here, we like to focus on mindset, faith, manifestation, and so much more. So if you're into any of that, please like and follow and subscribe wherever you are listening. Now, if you've been here for a bit, you'll know that there's something a little bit different, and there is a full video. And I'm so excited about it. I used to do this for the podcast and it's been a while, and it is my intention to start this up again and try my best to do a video every single week, because I know some of you love the visuals and not just listening in. And if you are someone that also follows my Instagram or my TikTok, you'll know that I do post little snippets of the podcast, but I don't actually ever post the full video. So let me know how it is. If you like this, comment below. If you want me to continue to posting videos with the podcast episodes, let me know. And also, if you do watch the snippet videos, a little thing that is also different is my hair. I just got a new haircut and went a little lighter. So shout out to Caesar, my hairstylist, because I have dyed my hair gray, purple, red, brown, and I have bleached it. I've done so many different things for years and he never does me wrong. So thanks, Caesar. Okay, so enough about me and these changes. Let's get into the episode. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about rest and how we can use rest as a rewiring tool. Rest is something that I feel like a lot of us kind of struggle with because we feel like there are all these things that we need to do. We have a large to-do list and it feels like there's never enough time to just take a moment to pause. I wanted to resurface this topic because I took a break for 2 weeks from recording this podcast. So if you listen in every single week, you probably were like, where are you? Where's the new episodes? And I just decided to take a break. It was kind of like a 2-week spring break for me, for podcasting specifically. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you will see that I went to Coachella, and then I also went on a business trip, and it was pretty much back to back. And I was going to record a new episode last week, but honestly, I was so burnt out, and my goal every single time for these episodes is not to show up feeling that way, because you're going to see it. You're going to feel through that. You're going to know that I'm not fully here. I'm not 100% giving my all. And that's not fair to you. I want to be an example. I want to remind you guys that it's okay to take breaks. And just because you take a break doesn't mean that you're going to be behind. I know that in the society and what we see all online, they talk about, the hustle and working so hard towards your dreams, which is of course necessary, but I am not going to push myself to the limit where I'm burning myself out. I've done that before. I've done it over and over, and it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't do anything for you, and you can't show up fully if you don't take a moment to just rest, take a break. And usually when we take breaks, that's when the creative flow comes through. That's when we start to feel like ourselves again. So even if you have that belief that there is no time, I'm here to remind you there is definitely time to take a break. For today's episode, my goal is for you to reframe your belief when it comes to rest. This is something I think a lot of us kind of struggle with. I mean, I personally did, and that's also another reason why I'm sharing this, because in the past, if I would have taken 2 weeks off, I would have sat with that guilt. And I think guilt can be normal for a lot of people, but I want you to learn to train your mind to let that go. Rest is necessary. Resting is being productive towards your health and your mental health, your physical health. Like, it's needed, and it's needed for your health long term. That's another reason why it's important that we talk about this. There's this pressure to constantly always be on, and that's something that I want you to do your best to avoid. Burnout doesn't happen overnight. It's an accumulation of repeated patterns. So when you're pushing yourself through exhaustion, you are reinforcing stress as your baseline. Like, that is your normal. Your mind is teaching your brain and your body to respond this way over and over again. So that's why sometimes it could feel like you don't know how to rest. And that's because you've created this new normal of exhaustion and burnout. Like that is your baseline. And I do want to emphasize that we don't burn out because we're weak. You only burn out because you have trained yourself to do this over and over again. We have trained ourselves to ignore what we actually need. And that is why we're going to reframe our way of thinking when it comes to rest. And the first one is knowing that rest is not laziness. Not at all. Another thing is that if you rest, it doesn't mean that you're falling behind. It also doesn't mean that you are losing momentum. Rest is essential because it is part of regulating your nervous system. If you want to be the best at something and you want to be an expert, consistency is of course needed, but also implementing breaks in between is a requirement. Rest is also identity work. So think about the version that you want to be, the best version of yourself. Would the best version of you burn out? Would they never take breaks? So if you are someone that is a workaholic or you have a hard time not feeling guilty taking breaks, that is your sign that you have wired yourself to behave this way and think this way. So the reason why rest is part of identity work is because you want to visualize who you would show up as someone who does add rest into their weekly routines. So when you prioritize rest into your life, you are adding a pattern interrupt because your baseline is currently overworking and feeling guilty for taking breaks. So either way, when you start adding rest into your routines, it's going to feel very uncomfortable for a bit. I say this every single time we talk about identity work or shifting your mindset because it's true. You are going to perform based on your baseline, based on your routines, based on how you always show up. So if you want to create change, you have to become aware of it, and then you do the identity work, and then you do your best to take action and stay consistent. So this is where it ties into rewiring your mind. When you rest, you are teaching your body that this is safe, that it's okay to slow down. For example, I love to take naps, even if it's like 15 to 20 minutes. And maybe I don't actually fall asleep fully, but it is so good for your brain to just take a moment to not be stimulated by things and kind of just give yourself that time. And maybe resting is you just like going on the couch and turning on Netflix and watching your favorite show. Do that if you need to, but of course, we don't want to be on the couch forever, right? We still have other things we actually need to get done, but give yourself a limit. Give yourself a limit to like one show, or put a timer for 30 minutes so that once the timer goes off, you are using that to get up and do the things that you need to get done. Another thing that happens when you start adding rest into your routines and you start rewiring your mind to do that, you're also breaking the cycle of overworking. Also breaking the cycle of overworking for validation. I used to have this belief that I needed to get things done even when I didn't have a timeline. Like for example, when it comes to posting on social media, they tell you, oh, you should post like 3 times a day, every single day. And in the beginning, I would feel so guilty if I missed anything, and I would feel like a failure. It would be like this black and white duality mindset, which is not healthy. I was trying to seek that validation by posting every single day and using that as like my worth. There's no rule book or law saying that you have to do this by a certain time. Obviously, in work, we have deadlines, but what I'm trying to reference is that when you incorporate rest, like you're allowing yourself to kind of just pull yourself out of whatever project you're working on for a moment and go back to it, and most likely be able to do it with a clearer mind. And that's another part of rewiring your mind. You are creating space for clarity instead of using force. And if you are not new here, you should already know that anything that we want and desire and we're working towards, we don't need to force it. That's not needed. Something that I want you to remember from this episode is that every single time you rest, instead of forcing, you're literally rewiring your mind to believe what success looks like. Now, I'm not perfect and I still have moments where I feel guilty if I take a break, but I am actively choosing to take a break every single time because I want to train my mind to not lean in that I need to do more, especially when I'm already feeling the heaviness of overworking myself. We know how we feel when we overwork. And I know there's so many of you that go on vacation, you feel so rested and ready to go back to work. Maybe not ready, but like you feel like you have been able to rest enough. You go back to work, burn yourself out, and then you don't feel better again until you legit go on vacation. Let's not wait to go on vacation to rest. Like, let's incorporate this time every single week. Like I mentioned earlier, I took 2 weeks off from posting, and yeah, there was some anxiety and some guilt that was coming up during those times. I kept thinking about like, okay, when am I going to record next? Like, I'm not posting consistently like I was. So when that guilt and anxiety was coming up for me, instead, I just became aware of it. I worked through it, let it go, and then created a new belief. Anytime there's any limiting belief, this is a process that I do every single time. And it's a process I also teach my clients, because no matter what, there's going to be challenges that come in our life and we have to overcome them every single time. And in order to do that, you have to work through your beliefs. So that's exactly why this work is in my program, because it's not something that you just use once and will never need to do it again and will never have a limiting belief again. That's just not the reality. So if you are someone that tends to struggle with your mindset and sit in those negative emotions, those negative beliefs, those limiting beliefs, then this is probably a program for you. So if you're interested, go ahead and check the link in my description and you can join the waitlist. So I just want to remind you that rest can look different for everyone. Whether you go take a nap, like I like to do, or maybe you like to watch an episode on Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, or you want to go on a walk, or you want to just hang out with your friends. However that looks, just do it. Whatever gives you more peace and allows you to de-stress, do more of that, because the cost of burnout is just not worth it. Stress is the number one leading cause of death. Not to scare you, but it does impact our overall health. Everything in your body just starts to slowly shut down, especially if you are constantly in burnout. Again, you don't want this to be your baseline. It disconnects you from yourself. It makes the work that you do feel even heavier than it needs to be. And it's not sustainable growth. Burnout may give you short-term results, but it's going to impact you with your long-term alignment and your long-term health. Especially if you are a parent, for example. I'm not a parent. I'm a dog mom though. And I'm a wife. And if I want to show up fully for my husband and for my pups, I have to take care of myself. So I want you to use this episode as motivation for yourself. Like if you were someone that cares for children, maybe you have kids, or you want to care for other people just in general, you want to show up fully for your work, for example, then this is your sign. This is the episode reminding you to take it back a little bit and see what you can do to prioritize your health, your happiness, your joy, because you matter too. And you can't show up fully for others if you're not taking care of yourself. So here are 3 questions that you can reflect on. And then hopefully after this episode, you get back into your life and you start creating a baseline where rest is included. The first question you can ask yourself is, where am I forcing instead of flowing? The second question is, what would it look like to rest before reaching burnout? Or you could flip it where if you are going through burnout, you can ask yourself like, okay, what did I do to feel this way? Another question you can ask yourself, and this is getting really honest with yourself, it's asking, can I trust that slowing down won't take everything away? So the purpose of that question is really digging in deeper into the limiting belief that like, you have to do this. You have to perform this way in order to achieve or be successful, whatever that belief is that you have. And my light just turned off. That's great. So if you're watching the video, you probably saw that my light died, but I got it back on because I plugged it in so it's charging while I'm recording. This is definitely something new when it comes to recording episodes. So it's going to be some trial and error since it's been a while. But anyway, let's close this episode with a few important reminders for yourself. Just a reminder that you don't need to earn your rest. You are allowed to pause without feeling like you are falling behind. And most importantly, remind yourself and create this new belief that rest is productive. Rest may be the most productive thing that you do this week. Incorporate it into your routines and see how your life may change. All right, y'all, that is all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get some rest whenever you need it. And I will see you in the next episode. If you enjoy this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to be mindful, because who you are from within will attract from the out. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.